Hi everyone, welcome and thank you so much for being here with me today. You are now tuned into the podcast of Journey of a Healed Success Stepper. I'm Dr. Dorina Shine and I'm going to be talking specifically to step number 9 of Emotional Healing Solutions Program, which is housed at the University of Youngstown State, and it is under the leadership of Dr. John Hazy and Dr. Onwudaway. Thank you, and Dr. Gray, of course. Thank you so much for being here with me today. One thing that I want to talk about in emotional healing step work number 9, before we get to it, is that for those who are graduating, those who are on the area of succeeding in your life, those who have chose to rise above the occasion and to try a little bit harder in life in order to be a true success stepper, I'm so grateful and thankful that you've taken that initiative to do so, even in the midst of others trying to stop you, hinder you, prevent that from happening. You know, there are many people in the cemeteries and autopsy reports that have been filed under their name as having been laced without having even known that they were. And this could go specifically from individuals who never touched a drug a day in their lives, and somebody that did not like them or did not feel that they were capable or deserved that position in life. They just laced them. So that's why we got to be so mindful to the people, especially on the path to success. You got to know who your true friends are. And a friend is not someone that you just meet on a platform somewhere and they say, I want to be your friend. No, those are the ones you got to be very, very careful of. And also, I want you to understand that when you walk the journey of success, there are going to be lonely days, lonely nights. There are going to be, mistakes that are going to be made, but you're going to be able to get through them. It's kind of like going through a war. And in this war, you weren't ready, you weren't prepared for it. It showed up, and then you were found to be bound. You were given you were laced with something that distracted you from being able to fight in this war effectively. But somehow or another, there was something internally within you. There was an interconnectedness of a divinity that was inside of you, that you were able to put the whole armor of the Most High on, and you were able to be protected. So I am so thankful to the Mahoney County Jail for making me figure it out. Many people get slaps on the wrist, but then there are times where you just don't learn. And so having to be surrounded by supervisors and lieutenants and sergeants and nurses and practitioners and doctors inside of the institution and inside of Marysville Correctional Institution, it more or less protected me from what life was trying to do to me. So in a way, on the physical realm, it looked as though my attorneys, my judge, my prosecutor were all against me, because when I went in as a victim, they told me there was no victim to my crime, because I voluntarily I voluntarily drank the margarita and the illegal marijuana. So regardless of what was induced within that, regardless of what my neighbor put in that, it had no ramifications of my actions after that. I didn't induce it. I didn't suggest it. I didn't even want it, because I didn't even know what it was. So with that being said, it is very important that we understand the importance of why we are where we are. And breathing the most natural state is the thing that is going to bring us back to life again. So after we found out that we've had this horrific situation happen in our lives, now we got to go back in and we have to reawaken the higher vibration of the self that was put to sleep, because the addiction or the idea of opening up a portal for addiction to take place has manifested, and we no longer hear the voice of reason. I talked about step number 8 yesterday, and if you want, you can go and you can like this video, subscribe to the channel, and go to Dr. Dorina Shine on YouTube, and you will see a playlist. And on that playlist, all of the emotional healing solution steps are going to be there independently. And this is step number 9. And I want to share with you why breath work is so vitally important. So come with me. The first thing I want to share today is the importance of understanding what breath work is all about. When you breathe through something, you're doing the natural state of alignment. You are aligning yourself. And breathing is the most important thing to do when you find yourself in a situation that is highly important. Why is breathing highly important? Well, the first thing I want you to know, because it is a simple, effective way to improve one's physical health. When you are walking, you have to breathe in a rhythm that's connected to life, so that you're able to persevere and make it through that channel of where you're going. If you're walking a mile, if you're walking a half of a mile, you have to breathe and you have to pace yourself, right? It's also a mental well-beingness that comes over. When you breathe, there is a resilience to activating the natural relaxation response. That's why meditation music became very important. That is why the relaxation response also increased the oxygen flow. It also enhanced cognitive functions. It makes us think, take our time. Because even in the process of making a decision, there's a process. Everything is processable. And this process is going to strengthen the immune system, lowering the self-stress hormones, and then improving emotional regulation. And then also releasing anxiety and depression, but increasing the mindfulness of focusing on the present moment. And this is why breath work is vital. This is why it is important to understand that when you're going through the scenarios and struggles in life, the first thing you want to do is know that there is a divine interconnection. There is an interconnectedness that makes the inner self aware that something either has gone on. And there's either going to be a fight or flight response. You're only going to have one or two of the ways that you're going to have to persevere through this war that was engaged upon you without your consent. But when you go towards that process, ignorance is not a defense. So in all areas, in all life stages, you must stay aware, you must stay sober-minded, you must stay intuitive, you must stay connected. Because the minute you drop your guard is the second that the enemy begins the attack process. Not saying that, you have to be paranoid. No, you can go through life and you can be, just as nice as you want to everyone until they give you that first red flag, and you cannot ignore that first red flag. So my goal during this process of breathing and doing my breath work and going to college and moving through this area of perspective became Dr. Dorina Shine. That's where the essence of who I was, how I began, emerged. Dr. Dorina Shine became the true inspiration to what Dorina Shine had gone through, because this is the outcome. And so when you realize that you have won the war, you've won the war over your life, and you only have to fight that war one time. Sometimes people can, fight it with, little incremental bits of things, and they're just, as long as they stay basic, they have no problem. You don't have to fight, really. If you're basic, you really don't have to fight. The fight comes when the bully sees that you're trying to elevate beyond its entity or energy, and when the narcissist realizes that they cannot take advantage of what it is you're trying to do because what you're doing is benefiting you, which will in turn benefit a society that they're controlling. So then you become the threat. So when you become the threat, then what takes place is you become the natural order selector. Okay, so once you have gone through and broken through that glass ceiling, you've healed from it, you've had your, surgical procedures done, you've done everything you had to do in the spiritual realm. Now here comes healing, the awakening, the healing, and then heaven on earth. And that's where we are. There's a lot of activity going on. I've done this video several times today, but I think this is the reason why I needed to continue to do this process within step number 9, because breathing is so important regardless of what's taking place. If you're a content creator and you have things popping off and it's the weekend, we got to blend in with society and what's going on in society. But I'm here to let you know that we still get through it. We still manifest and make things happen. So my goal now as Dr. Dorina Shine is to go out and about in the world, speaking my truth and sharing with individuals who are collegiates, who are going into the area of success, who is believing in themselves as entrepreneurs, who are believing in themselves as not being a victim. And this is one of the reasons why, if you go back through a lot of my videos, and even some of those videos that were, actually deleted, I always said to many of my viewers and my followers, I always say, you're only a victim one time. And now I understand where that concept even came from, because it comes from a understanding that you go to get help and, your neighbor will hurt you. In some instances, not all. You go to the courts and you try to seek out help and you be truthful and you're factual. And then you say to yourself, well, would this have been the same thing if, I went to my neighbor's house for a dinner and inside of that meeting, something was induced in a regular random person and that person died that very day. And that toxicology report came back that this was induced in this person, but they had never experienced anything up to that point about anything connected to that. It makes you wonder, it makes you say to yourself, is this something that really happens psychologically under the fabric of humanity? Is this something that is being done intentionally and on purpose? And, poison is just poison, right? So you got to be mindful and you got to remember the red flags and you got to pay attention. The Tin Man has no heart. It doesn't feel. And how many people of the 25% that are bullies and the other 25 that are narcissists that has no heart in this world? You have to be mindful of the heart you possess. You have to hold on to your morality. You have to entertain and be specific with the movements of your life. And then nothing can come. No enemy. You will have 1,000 enemies at your left, 1,000 at your right, and no one will touch you because the armor of the Most High is within you. And that's what helps heal you when you can't go to a system without them judging you and saying there is no victim here. Get over it. Deal with it how you can. If you make it through. You're all alone. And for the others who never made it, my goal is to continue to speak life over their circumstance of ignorance and share the Success Steppers' goal, to share that the Success Steppers have a goal, and the goal is to defeat the enemy's playbook. And with that, I thank you. If you're interested in sharing your story, please email me. I'm shinedorina@gmail.com. That's all lowercase, SHINE, Dorina, DORINA, @gmail.com. There is nothing, no dots, no anything, all lowercase. Leave your information. I'll contact you. We'll share and vet the scenario, or you can even put it in the email. We don't have to see each other personally. We can virtually connect. But you will be able to get your message out to the world so that people will understand what's happening, what's going on, because this thing is crucial. Everybody don't need to know it because people will take advantage. I get that. But for the few of us who genuinely understand what took place, we are not crazy. We're not psychologically paranoid. We're not schizo. We're not bipolar. We're not manic. We're not, selective in what our memory states are. It is genuinely occurred. It has genuinely happened. So for those of you who have no idea what this is about and you believe this is a fairy tale, congratulations. This has never happened to you. I pray that it never will. But I do understand now. I get it now. And with that, thank you so much for being here, liking, commenting, sharing this podcast. And you have now been listening to Journey of a Healed Success Stepper, Dr. Dorina Shine. Information can be found on any of my platforms. Join our Facebook page, Dr. Dorina Shine, and you will be able to get all the downloaded information that we have on social media. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.